Hi, both YouTube and PeerTube. We are doing some fur styling today, which is a thing that you have to do fairly often when it comes to furry puppets, because fur looks fine usually when you take it out of the box. And let's grab a little piece here and see. You know, this is fine as it comes right out of the factory. Are we using moose on puppets? You can. We'll get to that. You can. You're not wrong. But most of the time, particularly with professional puppets, you don't just leave it like this. You don't just have it come out of the box and leave it like this. You do something to it. Look at all of the Muppets, and there's very few of them that have fur that look like this, right? There's always some kind of treatment done to it. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing a very simple treatment. So let's go here. So here's the puppet we're working on today. It's just this camera does not do this color justice. It is really a beautiful, vibrant lilac. It is just lovely. I like it a lot. Get the mouse out of the way here so we don't accidentally click on something. So there are several ways that you can treat fur somehow. Unless you want a puppet with horrible hair fur for aesthetics. Yes, exactly. You can also, it really depends on the fur. Sometimes you'll get fur right out of the box and it's like, oh, okay, that looks great. I don't have to do anything to it. Here's an example. This might look a bit familiar. This stuff, this is some of the stuff I use for Frankie. It's got a nice kind of, curliness and kind of grunginess to it. It's got a good texture already, so I didn't have to do anything to this. I don't always treat fur. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Depends on the look you're going for also. Sometimes you want sleek and groomed, in which case you don't want to mess it up. But sometimes you do want to mess it up. So we're not really messing it up today, but we are going to get it under control a little bit. So there are several ways that you can treat fur. One of them, of course, is the length. So you can shave it, you can cut it, you can trim it just like you would, a hairstyle. It's really just artificial hair, right? So you can do that if if you're a decent beautician. Is it beautician? Stylist. Then you can absolutely just style a puppet's hair like hair, and that'll work. You can put a comb through it, all that stuff. A lot of times, though, for a monster particularly, that's not really what we want to do. Although for this one, I think we're going to go somewhat slick. Now, the character that this is going to be slightly kind of weary and tired. And so we want a not perfectly groomed feel, I think. For once, I have a puppet question. Say the unthinkable happens and someone spills soda/beans on a puppet like Frankie. What are your methods to clean it? Okay. That's a tough one. You probably, it's like any other fabric. So try just water to see if you can get it out. But if there's stains, there isn't a lot you can do for that. I honestly, I don't know. The secret is don't do that, right? Water is really the only solution. You don't want to put it in a washing machine. You don't want to you can get it in and kind of scrub it a little bit with some gentle soap. But other than that, get some water on it, let it dry by the air, don't put a hair dryer on it. Don't comb it through because that's just going to make a big fuzzy mess. But yeah, I know the best method of cleaning versus prevention with all of those unthinkable. Yeah, well, you know what happens on film sets usually if something like that happens? Replace it. That's why there are puppet wranglers standing by. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do, right? It's like if you had a jacket that was made of fur and you spilled something on it, what would you do, right? That's kind of the same situation. So not a lot you can do. Try and clean it with just water and some gentle soap. Anything that's good for clothing would be good for a puppet, because this is just, you know, synthetic fiber. So, but do it by hand. Don't put it in a machine, and just try your best. And sometimes you just have to replace it or repair it. And that's it. That's the only answer I've got, unfortunately. Good question, though. Thank you. So we're going to groom it a little bit. Now, I originally thought that I was going to trim this a whole bunch, because the eyes that are going on this, let me show you that. So since this character is going to be kind of tired, weary, we're going to do these oval shaped eyes. I'm going to do eyelids for these. And so they're going to be, you know, kind of Ernie style shape like that. And this is a good, this conveys tiredness quite well, particularly with half closed eyes. And so I originally thought, you know what, I'll get in here and I'll mark it out and I'll shave right down to the netting so there's like a little socket to put them in. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, I think what would be nicer and more interesting and would actually make the eyelids pop more is if instead of that, we're going to groom down just the face part here. We're going to leave the top part kind of loose so we can do stuff like that. But there's a nice part here in the middle. It's also going to have a nose as well. So we've got to think about that coming up. But I'm going to groom down the fur on just the upper face here, and we're also going to groom it away from the mouth line a little bit, just so it lays down. We have a nice defined lip line here, because that's important too. And just so it will stay in place. Now, this is the thing about grooming fur. There are, let's go back to this camera and I get my coffee while we talk about this. There are several methods of getting fur to stay in place, right? And it is the same as getting hair to stay in place. Believe it or not, I do know a few things about that because I haven't always looked like this. 35 years ago, as an aging goth, I had a big floppy head of Robert Smith hair. So I have done some work when it comes to making hair do things and be things and stay that way for long periods of time under stressful conditions. So I can speak to this with some degree of authority. Normal hair products like, you know, mousse, gel, hairspray, all that kind of stuff, you can absolutely use that on a furry puppet or the hair of a regular, you know, if you're just using a piece of fur as a, you know, a toupee style hair piece. Oh, nice to see you, Capricorn something. Chokmuju, hi, I see you too. So I was talking about this before, I have to change the length that it cuts off the usernames because I can't read the whole thing. I'm seeing what you're seeing, so my apologies, I can't read your whole username, but welcome nonetheless. So where was I at? This is, hopefully this will edit out well. Making hair stay in place. So yes, you can use normal hair products like mousse, gel, hairspray, all that kind of stuff. Styling fudge, styling wax, all that kind of weird stuff. Thank you very much, Zap. Nice to see you. But the problem with all of that stuff, and again, this is really, you can treat this just like hair. So anything you would do to hair, you can do to this. Heat can be a problem because this is a synthetic fiber. So this is basically plastic. These are just like little fibers of plastic. So be careful, like don't take a, you know, like a straightening iron or a curling iron to this, because you will just melt it. But other than that, any kind of product that you would use on hair, you could use on this. But the problem with that stuff is it wears off. And it wears off relatively quickly too. As you know, somebody with a big head of Robert Smith hair at the 80s, let me tell you, it wears off quicker than you would like it to. Many a time I've spent the evening with my hair spiked up and then, you know, 3 hours later, it's just flopped down. And that's, let me tell you, 1986, that was not what you wanted to happen. So what we want is something that's considerably more durable and permanent than that. You can do the hair ranch dressing. Well, you know, hey, it's your puppet, go nuts. You know, I ain't judging. So what we can do, now this is, the first time I ever heard about this, speaking of the 80s, was literally in the 80s. Because, you know, here we go with the old man moment, but back then we did not have the range of hair products that you kids have today. So we had to invent things, and if you were part of the punk/goth community, you had to get creative. And one of the things that was figured out pretty quickly is a safe and non-toxic, surprisingly enough, method of, let's say you have a mohawk and you need to spike your mohawk and you need to make that thing razor blade rigid. You just need to just do it and have it stay that way for a long concert or something where you're going to be sweating, etc. Glue, white glue. This stuff you can actually put in your hair and it's fine. Let's not get the Gorilla Glue jokes going. That's a whole separate thing. And I got feelings. But this is just regular old white glue you can get anywhere at any hardware store. It will actually tell you it's non-toxic. It's right there, non-toxic. No, it's out of focus, non-toxic. This stuff is completely safe to put in hair. It lasts for a long time, so don't do it unless you want to commit. But the good news is we can use this on the fur and it will last a very long time. And I can even give you an example. Someone you know and love. The good old Oracle here. So, you ever notice the Oracle's hair and back has got this lovely spikiness? That's white glue. That's what that is. And that's stayed this way. It's been like, I don't know, almost 5 years now since this version of the Oracle happened. And that's the way it's stayed. So this is a very good way of being able to style fur and have it stay for a long time. Well, come on, Oracle, cooperate. You're not going back on the stand. There we go. Okay. The staff always sticks out and pokes me in the eye when I'm walking by. I think he does it on purpose. Hair gel, great for puppets. Yes. Also doesn't last long. And that's the problem we are solving with the white glue. Now, the nice part of doing just a regular hair product is, of course, if you don't want it to last long, if you want to be able to change the style, absolutely go for hair products because that will allow you to do that, right? But if you know that this is it, this is what you're sticking with, then honestly, white glue and dilute it with a bit of water, best solution. I do that with every bit of fur styling for like a furry monster that I'm doing all the time. And that's what we're doing today. And it's very, very simple. As we should probably just get into it. So let me show you what we got going on here. We of course have our puppet. We got some gloves, we got some white glue, we have some water. So we are going to want to dilute this a little bit because you don't want to, I mean, you can put just the glue on itself, but it's going to be kind of thick and gloppy and you don't want that. I also have some paper towels standing by. This is water. We are going to be getting water around places. And to start with, let's say we want to make the fur, you want to get some texture going in the fur. And to do that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to work the substance down into the kind of substrate of the hair, or the fur. And so we're going to start with water. Got to be a pain to clean it when you want to restyle it. Yeah, well, most of the time you don't really have to clean it out. It just kind of wears off. Now, depending on, of course, the quality of the product and stuff, sometimes it will flake and it will get nasty. But again, shampoo, right? You can literally just wash it. You always, if you ever do need to get your puppet wet for any reason, hopefully not too wet, don't toss it in a, swimming pool or something. Let it air dry. Just let it air dry. It's going to take days, but let it air dry. So yeah, you can just use shampoo and just wash the puppet's hair like you would wash your hair. Yeah, he eats Kermit in the dryer. Yeah, don't do that. I don't think you would appreciate that. Okay, so I'm gonna put the gloves on. This is why I'm not even trying to wear my rings today. Sad face. We're just gonna start by getting some water and working it into. I always want to do the Bugs Bunny routine when I'm like this. I can't even remember the line now. What is with my brain today? Anyway, never mind. What our goal is we actually kind of want to end up where we're starting here. But we just want to be able to make it stay like this, right? So we want a nice clean lip line, and we want a nice part in the middle that's going to be kind of smoothed down. And so that way we've got a different texture on the face than we do on the top. On the top, we can kind of get stuff going, or not, right? Whatever you like, but this gives us some flexibility with design. If the character is in a scene where they've just had something happen, you can do that, all kinds of stuff. You can get creative in the moment. But this will allow us a nice place to kind of have a face, because one of the problems, of course, with particularly furry monsters is there's so much fur that you lose some of the features. It just looks like a big blob of fur. That's one of the things we're working on not having happen in this case. So we're just gonna get some water. Just gonna make it wet. Get it down in there. Just start smoothing some water on it. Don't worry too much about. The water isn't going to do much harm. So I'm trying to stay out of the camera as much as possible, but it's not always possible. And the nice thing about this is, I don't know if you can tell this, you can kind of tell it in the camera. When this purple gets wet, it actually goes a darker color, so you'll be able to start to see where you need more. Oh, the thing what we want to do here is get it right down into the roots, like get it right all the way down to the netting. This is just water, so all this is doing is it's kind of scrunching up and clumping up the fur. That's good, we want that, that's texture. We don't want it to look perfect like it's just come off the milling machine. Living things rarely look like that. So, hopefully the music, I'm using the web player for the music again. Hopefully it doesn't stop at some point, because I can't exactly click a mouse at the moment. If it stops, I'll edit in some other music. All right, I think we can probably start. We've got a good kind of base wetness here, and just massage it down there, work it all in, and just get it all nice and crunchy, and just really mess it up. PJ Geyer tells what is likely apocryphal story that the rumor was going around that whenever they make a new Elmo, they invite all the kids from the staff to the shop and give them a bunch of candy, and then just throw Elmo into the room with them and say, "There you go, kids, play with Elmo." So it gets all sticky and grungy and all, sticky children fingers all over it. I don't believe that's true. That would be very irresponsible, and you'd have to do major repairs after that. But it's a fun story, nevertheless. But that is the kind of the look we're going for. We want this to really get all kind of grungy and messed up. Okay, so the other place we're going to do it is along the lip line here. As he spills a bunch of water, you are going to get like clumps of fur. Just be aware of that. You want to be somewhat aware of not having that loose fur stay on the puppet when you put the glue on, because it will just sort of get stuck in there and not flow with the rest of it. So you do want to kind of clean that stuff out. me see if we can move this over a little bit so it gets on camera a little bit better. And we are focusing on the face here, but you can do this for like the whole, I've done it with the whole body and the arms, everything. But what I'm doing here specifically along the lower jaw is I'm making sure that we can glue down the mouth line here so we retain this nice clean lip line. That can be tricky with the furry monster. This job you meet so many interesting monsters, etc. I forget the line. Forgive me, bugs, I have sinned against you. Okay. So there we go. I think we got a pretty good base coat down. I'm just getting it wet. This is already building up some texture, you see. Think like this, right? Think like that. So now we're gonna get some of the glue. And we're just gonna get it on the gloves and just treat it like you would a massive amount of hair gel. Just get it on the hands there. And I know it looks white, this stuff dries clear, don't worry. You don't want big kind of concentrated lumps of it, but just get it in there. And just like the water, start working it in. So you don't want it just laying on the surface, you want to kind of get it right down into the fur. But for me, my priority for this particular build is going to be making sure we have this part and have that part stay. Any place you can see that the glue is kind of concentrated and you can see the kind of white streaks, just smooth that over. That's where you want to get down in there and really work it. Maybe I'll grab the handheld camera and show you a close-up of this because the difference is quite striking and I don't think this camera picks it up very well. Do I dare grab the camera with a handful of glue? That seems like a bad idea. Let's see, let me see what I can do. I might be able to grab some here. So as I'm doing this, there is a bunch of fur coming off on my gloves. This is the stuff you want to get rid of. Okay, so this is why we have the paper towel standing by. Let me grab the tripod of the handheld camera here, and I'll see if I can get a nice close-up of this so you can see the difference. Thankfully, I do have my preview up so I can see what we're doing here. This is going to be shaky cam, I warn you, but I think this is instructive. So here we go. We are nice close-up. I forgot there's a fixed focus, but so here's the fur as it is normally, just out of the box. And here's what we're doing to it, right? And you can see we're getting it all kind of crunchy and gloppy and goopy, and that's good. That's what we want. So before I mess it up, let me put that back. We'll go back to here. So there we go. Hopefully that was a good visual aid. Okay, so now that we've got this, I'm going to want more, but this is a good start. But there is quite a texture difference now between this bit and the bit that isn't treated with glue. So you want to kind of blend that together. But the next thing I want to do is focus on getting this lip line locked down. Now, this is where you got to be careful because I don't want to get any of this inside the mouth, like on the black mouth lining. That can be tricky. Now, it's not the end of the world if you do because it does dry transparent, but there will be a kind of textural difference. It will look like a little stain. You don't want that. So I'm being very, very careful and just going along the edge here. You don't really have to come right up to the line. Give yourself a safety margin. All that really matters is that you don't get the white glue on the mouth lining itself. Again, not the end of the world if you do, but it's just better if you don't. So this is before we started working it in. So this won't hold. The way this is right now will not hold, but we are about to fix that. Okay, so now that we've got it kind of distributed on the surface, now we're going to start working it down and taking the length of the fur and kind of working it in. So what's going to happen is this will all kind of hold together. Once this dries, and that's the other thing. So you're not getting it soaking. You're not getting it completely. We're just getting it like damp. It's just moist. It's just a little moist. So this is actually going very well and very quickly. This was all I had planned to do for this stream, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll do something else. After this, there isn't a lot I can do until this dries. But if you're not sure if you have enough, put more on. It's always, this is the kind of situation where it's always better to add too much than not enough. So that's basically what I'm going to do now. Is just going to add some more in there. The other thing I want to make sure to do, this is one thing I haven't done, is do the same thing for the lip line I did here, but underneath, and make sure, make a little kind of mustache-y thing here, and make sure that the fur is just staying out of the mouth. And hopefully lock that down well enough. It's not going to be perfect, but hopefully lock it down. Get puppets moist. I think there's a creek near me. You know, they were interviewing. By they I mean Adam Savage. This is a while ago. They were interviewing some of the folks who were working on the new Fraggle Rock, and they were just saying, like, you know, we get puppets wet, like we throw them fully in the pool there, and they have special stunt puppets that they do that are not they're all stitched. There's no glue because the glue would just, you know, get messed up in the water. But sometimes you gotta sacrifice a gobo, you know? Sun puppets. Yeah, no, that's exactly what they are. Okay, and the nice thing about doing this is, like, the bottom, like sort of the beard area here, just gets kind of, well, beard-like, I don't know, but almost like moss, you know, like ivy hanging off a trellis or something. It's very nice. It's very pleasing. And I think I'm going to put a little bit in the top, not enough to make it stiff, but just enough to kind of hold it in sort of discreet, clumpy bits. So the owner can still style this if they want, but there's a little bit of texture here. It's also not bad to do it on the rest. I mean, I got this stuff on my gloves. We might as well use it, right? And this just adds a little bit of extra texture and life. The difference, you will be astonished at the difference this will make. Not necessarily to the immediate eye, but the impression that this makes. If you would look at a puppet, an identical puppet that has a treatment like this done to it versus one that doesn't, the vibe check would be completely different on both of them. It makes sense, but it sounds hilarious. I know. Get the stunt Kermit. I think I want a little bit more on the bottom jaw here. I'm not sure how well that's going to hold, so let's get some insurance going. So this may end up being quite a short stream, FYI, because this, like I said, this was all I had planned to do. And the other stuff, I don't want to stream it. So, yeah. But, don't worry, there's lots more coming. Okay, I'm liking where this is going. This is pretty good. See, it's just tidy. I know it looks a bit off-center. Don't worry about that. This jaw is loose. Also, we're gonna put eyes and nose in here. That'll straighten things out. The actual part itself isn't going to be overly emphasized in the final design. Okay, I think we're good. I like where this is. It's nice. Let's not waste the glue. We'll just give the rest of the body a little bit of love too. And I think we'll go with that. So there we go, one styled monster. Now, let me take these gloves off. And we'll do our little wrap up here. So that's really it. You can, of course, go further and just keep styling and doing more and more and more. And you can do actual styles and stuff like that. This is all I wanted to do for this particular build. But something like the Oracle, for example, who has the kind of Pee Wee Herman pointy thing, faux hawk, I guess. That's a for real just style. Oh, Art Official Lee, nice to see you. I'm pretty sure that's Twitch. Hello. But yeah, you can do just straight up the hairstyling and all that kind of stuff. You can take a comb and comb it through and all that kind of stuff. Now, this will not take as long as you might think to dry. This will be ready to go in a few hours maybe, because we haven't used a lot of water. And that glue, I don't know, there's something that happens. If you just let this air dry, it will be surprisingly dry in not long at all. Like in an hour or two, I'll be able to continue working with this. But for the moment, this has just got to sit and dry. Don't mess with it while it's doing that, because you want it to set, right? You want this to just be the way you've made it. So that's it. We're gonna end the YouTube/PeerTube video here. So thank you for watching, and I hope you will join us for the next tips, tricks, and tutorials.